Welcome back here to another episode of Infamously Speaking. I'm Matt. That's my co-host Quan, and we're ready to bring some heat. And let me tell you why I know this shit's gonna be fire right off the rip. See my guy Quan repping the Fire Red Fanatic Cigar Company. As you can see, I'm rocking the blue colorway, and we didn't plan this. We just decided, hey, we're gonna show love to Kenny and the entire Fanatics fam because they do fire things. And we support people who do great things because that's what Infamously Speaking is all about. Of course, y'all know the drill. Before we get into the show, before we get to the fire content, if you're not already subscribed to the Infamously Speaking YouTube channel or following wherever you get your podcast, please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever we drop content like this. Leave a like, leave a comment, chop it up. Let's get some commentary going back and forth. Helps the show grow, helps people find the show, keeps fire content like this rolling. Couple of things I want to address. Number one, obviously, for our loyal followers, they probably noticed, hey, there was no show last week. What happened? Well, I got to shout out our guy, Mike, right? He came onto the show, provided fire commentary, just had some audio issues and it wasn't able to put it out. You know, Quan and I always talk about how we want to make sure that we're proud of the product that we put out, not just from a content perspective, but also from a production perspective. And it wouldn't have been a great listen from just an audio quality perspective. So we decided to hold that back. We want to get Mike back on the show. Obviously, he has a lot of great insight to share. But I wanted to make sure that I recognize him, the time that he gave, and definitely going to have him so he could drop some knowledge on the people.
Yeah,
So
we'll definitely have his offy kid back on the show, man. That stupid ass mic and his stupid ass computer. I told him from the jump it sounded terrible.
Yeah, it didn't sound
to his credit, like he didn't know he was gonna record till like 20 minutes prior. So
I ain't killing him for it. And what he was saying was fire. If only you could understand it. So shout out to our guy. Secondly, I'm not sure if you've seen, obviously J. Cole dropped a new album, The Fall Off. It's been sweeping the nation literally because he's been driving around, listening into it, fans as he's driving, doing trunk sales, which I think is dope, the way that he's able to connect to the people who love his music. But you know what? Whenever J. Cole drops a new album, you know, it's a personal affair for me. You know why?
Yeah, because everybody comes running up to you like, hey, Cole, let me get a picture.
I don't see it, bro. I don't see it. Now my wife's sending me pictures of him like, hey, you got like, look at this, look at you. I didn't know you was in Tucson today or wherever he was. I didn't know you was doing that. I thought you went to work. You didn't tell me you're selling CDs out of your trunk. I don't see the comparison, but I don't see it at all.
Well, apparently a lot of people do, man. You're like his doppelganger you're like Friday Night Lights Cole at this point.
I want to get into the real main topic of this show. Because I know you was fired up when we hopped on, like, man, I'm ready to go. You had a topic you wanted to get into. So I'm going to kick it over to you, man.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about change and being uncomfortable. We talked about being uncomfortable and how that, that accelerates growth when you're put in these situations where you're forced to do things. And, I've talked about it pretty much every episode for however long of facing all these challenges and all these, difficult opportunities or difficult moments. But, it's forcing me to make a change and changes that I wouldn't necessarily seek out or even explore. But because I have to be more open-minded and I want to break away from this negativity and all the adversity, it's now led me down paths that I wasn't expecting. And I just, I feel like when we can get out of our own way, we talked about, an abundance of opportunities may rise. You just got to kind of keep your head up. I remember saying online, like, it's funny, it's actually relatable to the line where I told you, window of opportunity the size of a peephole. Now I'm banging on the door sign that says keep closed. But it's like, it was something along the lines like you can't see where you're going if you don't got your head up. So you got to keep your head up, right? And for a moment, if I'm being honest, I had my moments where I was looking down. And I know that it wasn't put out there because we talked a little bit about it on the episode with Mike, but thankfully I had friends and family at times that I wasn't reaching out. You guys were kind of reaching out in a sense, and I didn't always pick up because I just needed some space and I just needed my own thoughts. And but it is what it is. And he muted me.
I muted myself because
Nah,
I was
yeah.
zipping up the vest. I got the Fed vest on today. But nah, for real. I mean that that's real shit, man. And listen, I know a lot of people right now. I don't know how it's felt for everybody out there, but it feels like February just has flown by. I mean, it's the 26th as we're recording this. But a lot of people that I know had to make some difficult decisions over the past month or so. And change is scary, man. I'm not gonna front. Like change is a scary fucking thing. But what scares me more, I just didn't even say a word you scare, but people can relate to it is leaving an opportunity out there because I was too afraid to change. Because I was too afraid to take a step of faith. Because I was too busy trying to wait until I could see something. And so that's how I balance it. It's like, what's more scary? The change or the truth or the reality that nothing may ever change. Your situation may never change
Mm.
because you're too scared to make any kind of change, if that makes sense. And I think that right there, plus, the faith that I have and also the excitement of the unknown, we kind of talk about it sometimes and embracing that discomfort and how that's where real growth happens. I think that's the way to overcome it.
And I agree. Like there was a I was driving, I was like, I just need to hear something pop. And
Mhm.
sometimes I'll do that and I'm like, yo, I'll play anything, right? It's just random. And I clicked on a random video, never heard of it before, but it was a worshiping video. It was a pastor preaching, and along his story was, I'm gonna paraphrase because I don't remember the specific words, but it was something like the only thing harder than waiting on God is wishing you did. I feel like a lot of times, right, we'll rush into trying to figure it out for ourselves, or we're not waiting for our blessing that God is going to put upon us because we just want to get out of the situation, or get financially right, or get through some emotions, or whatever the case may be. Sometimes when we rush, we miss the blessing that's right there. It's right in front of us, or it's right around the corner. I actually watched another video. It was a short video. It's some guy who he runs up on millionaires and billionaires, usually billionaires. And a lot of the billionaires say like God is in their life. There was one that stood out specifically though, where he was like, I took a lot of left turns, I took a lot of right turns. Some was bad, some was good. But I was blessed and I was lucky enough that God gave me the opportunity that some of those left turns turned into financial gain.
Mm.
But it happens. You got to go that course. And I think a lot of us we get comfortable with where we're at that we don't make our way. We don't continue our course that is actually provided for us. Right? Like so, I'll put it out there. The opportunity for me might be to get away from here like you did. But I got you, right? It's funny because like we talk about you had your dad and your mom, right? Great parents. I didn't have much of that. So always created a path for the most part. And I always try to provide a path for those behind me, whether it's Nove or uh, you know, other people like yourself, right? But now that you're on the path that you went, you kind of created a path for me to see, like, oh, there is opportunities outside of this state, right? There is opportunities elsewhere where you can have a happy life, you can live good, you can find career growth and all kinds of other things that you've been able to seek and find. So you're the example for me now where it's like, all right, now I can possibly make this transition for a better opportunity for myself and Nova and stuff.
Yeah, bro. I mean, that's fire. And I agree with you that sometimes, we try to rush into things, trying to figure it out on our own, like you said. When the biggest thing that I learned, and I understand that everybody listening, not everybody shares the same faith, right? But guiding principles can still be guiding principles. And the fact is, number one, you'll never go wrong was seeking counsel from those who have succeeded the right way, who've done things the right way. And so, even with the decision that I had to make not too long ago, seeking counsel was one of the biggest things. Making sure my wife and I were in agreement and seeking counsel, making sure that I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing because, and I appreciate you calling out that, I've kind of become a source of inspiration or just like a guide. But there's a lot of uncertainty, in it. There is a lot of like, is this really the right decision? And it's amplified because I am a head of a household. I am responsible for not just myself, but my wife and our two children. So those things are always thoughts, right? No matter how excited you get about something, that the the enemy tries to play. Sometimes you're excited about something and a random thought that's negative comes into your head and it's like, oh dang, I didn't even think about that. What if this? What if we can't find a good situation? And like I said earlier, sometimes you can get caught up in that and start questioning things. But I love the fact that you called that out. Like there's always the right answer will always come. Period. You just got to believe that you got to have faith that it's going to come. And you can't always wait. And I think this is where people get caught up. You can't always wait for the full understanding or something to go ahead and believe it and do it. And what I
Mm.
mean by that is, think about when you were a kid and the first time that you heard 1 + 1 = 2. You didn't fully understand why 1 + 1 = 2, but you believed it, right? Because once you know something, you don't have to believe it. You don't have to trust me that that's true. You know it's true. You know 1 + 1 = 2, right? So now you don't need any kind of faith to believe that. It's factual to you.
I thought you was gonna go down that whole 1 + 1 = 11 line again. I
Nah,
was
we
like,
done with
don't
that shit.
don't do
We
it.
no, we done with that. We done with that. And so, when you don't fully understand, that's what takes faith. That's what takes belief. Is I don't have the full understanding of why things are happening, but you know what? I'm gonna take that step forward, right? Like when we first left Connecticut, I didn't have a full picture or understanding of what was going on, what our lives would become. Even if it was 100%, well, I mean, I was pretty confident it was the right thing to do, but there's always, like I said, there's always those feelings where it's like, damn, is this really right? I'm going to a place I got no help, I got no nothing. But to your point, if I never if I allowed that fear to kick in and I made a quick reaction or decision based on my emotions and said, I'm not going to do it, instead of waiting, trusting for that the right answer was going to come, look how much I would have missed out on, to your point. So it's tough, bro. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's easy, but we go through different seasons of life. You know what I mean? Like you go through season. And I think as you get older and gain more life experience, you realize that. You realize that tough times, tough seasons come for a reason. Good seasons come for a reason. When you become resilient and you gain wisdom, you realize that every season is a good season. It's just sometimes you got to look at it. Your perspective needs to be a little bit different on what
Nah, I
a good
feel that.
season is.
A lot weighed on my mind before even taking that step to a new chapter or a new season, as you put it. And one thing that kept crossing my mind was we have one life to live
Mm,
until we meet our maker at that time. But with that one life to live, I don't want to say what could have been and live with that regret. And
yeah,
that's ultimately was like, you know what? If there's any time, I think now's the time where I can make a move that's out of character, if you would say, drastic or, something major potentially. And I'm not too worried about the unknown anymore because I always felt like the shit that I've been going through, if I could get through a lot of the shit that I'm going through and the wild thoughts in my head, I'll be all right. Right. Like I'll be able to figure it out, even if it happens to be the wrong decision or the right, you know, quote unquote the wrong decision. Because I feel like even in those wrong decisions, if a lesson's learned, then that's what it was meant to be.
right. I mean,
So
sometimes I think you got to take big swings, man. You got to take big swings to get the big reward, right? I mean, football season just ended, but to kind of relate it to that, and it wasn't too long ago, But think about for all our football fans, think about the Rams the year they won the Super Bowl leading up to it, right? Like they make the big trades, trade for Stafford. I think they didn't make a first round selection in like 7 straight drafts or something like that because they were trading all that capital away for ready made players and people like, oh, they're crazy, right? They were taking big swings. Everybody knows that watches football. That first round pick is gold. I
Mhm.
mean, that's franchise altering players, but they're like, no, we're going to take a swing, get the guys we believe in that are ready made pros. And we're going to go win a Super Bowl. And they went ahead and did that. They took massive swings to get the massive reward. And sometimes
This
you got to
that was
do it.
spoken like a true Yankees fan right there. Always swinging for the fences.
Swinging,
Just get on
eyes
base.
closed, just swinging.
Oh, he's in his bag now. The Drake layers come out, he's in his bag.
Iceman, Iceman. But I kind of want to talk a little bit more about this in season, off season type of deals because I mean, I think, like I said, seasons they come and they go and they change. And similar to sports, where you might have seasons that are rebuild seasons, right? Quote unquote rebuild seasons. You might have championship windows, all these things. I mean, how many of us that are listening have recently gone through something like that? You can even, it might not necessarily be rebuild, but you could think about like what you're talking about, career changes, right? You could think about things like relationship changes, moving, physical location, financials, or a shit ton of personal growth, which we've talked about on the show in recent episodes as well, where there's every part of your life. Some people call them chapters, right? We're just saying seasons. And I think sometimes it helps to reflect on that. And also to say, like, hey, what season am I in now? What kind of season am I in right now? Am I in this season where it's time for me to take that big swing? Because maybe you're not in that seat. Like you said, you're in a good spot right now where you're like, this is the time for me to take my swing. This is the time,
Mm,
right? For some people that maybe that aren't, that are like, you know what? I'm not set up for that right now. But you eventually want to get to a place where you could take that big swing. What are you doing to set yourself up for that? What moves are you making? If there's a big career aspiration that you want to take a swing at, what are you doing to build skills and acumen right now to
mm.
set you up so when that opportunity comes, you don't gotta wait for the next opportunity to go and get it. That is your opportunity.
Love that.
So
Love that. Cause we talk a lot. I mean, a lot of people in general, I feel, talk about, oh, I want to do this, or I want to achieve that, or I want to get here. But it's like, that's great. But what does that look like? You're just gonna jump to
yes.
that here? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you were
Exactly.
hoping on a Hail Mary. Think about all the Hail Marys that are actually, you know, successful. Very
Yeah,
rare. Not saying they can't do it
absolutely.
for all those listening. Not saying you can't, but what sounds better? Going for that Hail Mary or working your way up to that point of accomplishing your touchdown or your goal, right? That was very well
So,
put.
and I would also add to that, right? Like you gotta think about, and I'm just gonna take it to an interview thing because we've all majority of us listening have been through interviews, right? What sounds better? This is what I would do, or this is what I've done already? Ask yourself that. This is what I've done to prepare myself. This is why I'm ready for the role. Not, oh, I think this is what I do. No, no, no. This is what I've done in situations just like that. Right. So that's what we talk about preparing yourself. It doesn't necessarily need to be a class that you go and take. Sometimes, honestly, the beauty is typically in the day to day. It's in the low lights. That's where the highlights are, is in the low lights, right?
Mm,
When you're down in the trenches and you got to figure
speaking.
something out, right? I mean, how many times have you been in a place where the highlight of your day is having a conversation with somebody who was down in the dumps for whatever reason? You was able to help lift their spirit. Or vice versa. You was down in the dumps and somebody was able to help you get out of that. And that might seem like a low spot or something light. That might be something you do every single day, coaching people. But then when you get your opportunity, it's all those bricks that you laid. You're like, oh no, this is light. I got it.
Hmm.
I've done this before. I took the 1,000 shots a day in the gym. This is what I do.
You wasn't with me shooting in the gym?
Easy,
No, I feel that.
easy.
We talked about that a while ago. I don't know if you remember this, but we was like, yo, if someone cut us a check for X amount of money, when we take it. And we was like, "No," but we'd have to give it up. But it was like, this is what we appreciate. This grind, right?
Yep.
The little steps, the slow motion. It's not what we want, but that's fine because we understand where we're going. It's taking more time than we anticipated, but that's fine because the grind is what's going to help us appreciate it even more when we get there, right? It's like, all right, we worked our ass off to get to the level that we felt we knew we can get to. So the moment we get there, it's like, yo, all that fucking hard work paid off. That fucking going to the gym, tired as fuck, coming back on the show just to make sure we're putting content out, that paid off. And it's because of that work ethic. Now, when we get to that level, continuing that work ethic, if not, heightening it, it's that much easier because it's like, yo, we know what we was doing to be successful or get to this success. Let's continue that and amplify it.
Percent. Listen, man, the elite ones don't use the season to get ready. The elite ones use the off season to prepare. That's where the real work happens. I remember Tom Brady. I'm sure you've seen the video. He was at, I think it was something for Fanatics, but he was talking when like Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, that rookie quarterback class, they were rookies,
I know
right?
what
And
you're
he was
talking
talking
about.
to them, right? And he's like, I treated every practice like it was the Super Bowl, so that when I got to the Super Bowl, it was just like any other game. It was just like any other day. So you can't
Mhm.
have people around you. You can't have a mindset that you're going to treat every day like it's just another day. And then when the big day arrives, then that's the big day because you're going to be overwhelmed by it. Winners win in the off season. And that's just so whenever you're going through what you're going through, you learn, like to your point, you're learning how to overcome that. Like you can overcome what you went through. Now when the test comes, it's light because you've already been tested. You've already got the answers for it. I mean, if you think about what athletes do, right? What do athletes do in the off season? They watch film, right? They
Train.
hit the gym, they're training. Yeah, do they do that during the season? Of course they do. Of course they do. But why do some teams start and it's consistently? I know we talk about the Patriots, but that's because you don't see like a 2-decade run of dominance like that. How come every year they started fast? Because they was grinding in the offseason. They was ready. So that when week 1 came and everybody was just getting into it, they were already in it. So it was light. So you can't wait. You can't wait for the season to come to say, I'm going to get ready. You got to be
You
getting
know
ready
what?
all the time.
Because we're kind of like relating it to sports. You know what I thought of when you said that was that time when the Giants really haven't seen the playoffs. Then they make the playoffs, and what do? They go
In the Super
party.
Bowl.
No, they
Yeah, with
go
the boat
party.
one. The boat
Yeah,
one, don't talk about that.
they go party
That's a great
for
example,
what?
though, to lose in
You know
Green
what I
Bay.
mean? Stick to what's got you to where you were.
Yep.
Like if anything, like I said, you just amplify it. But the moment you relax or you take a different route, you know, that's lackadaisical, if you want to call it that, can end up in your demise.
Yeah, and, I think because sometimes people go through these crises in life, right? Or these moments, these pivot points or these turning points in life. And sometimes it's something really bad, that kind of forces you to change. Or sometimes you don't know how to handle success, like what you were talking about with the Giants, right? They finally make the playoffs and what's like seems like forever. Even though I think it was like 5, 6 years, something like that. And they act up. They go on that boat trip, and we haven't sniffed close to. No, that's not true. We had that one season with Daniel Jones, but it's been pretty much a decade of one of the worst records in the NFL over the last 10 years. So, when and we also talked about this with the Patriots and losing the Super Bowl. It's like when you suffer, heartbreaking defeats, whether it's losing the Super Bowl or in a personal life, not getting in a position that you really worked hard to try and get. Or, maybe you get some bad news, whatever it is. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe you're sick, whatever it is. What's the word I want to use? Like, how do you remain grounded? I guess is the thing. Because I feel like it's so easy to tie yourself to what you were doing, right? Like, this is who I am. This is my job. I spent a majority of this year. This is what I do.
I think you have to do some self-reflecting, which will bring awareness, right? I actually had this conversation before with someone who didn't get a job. And it's not sometimes always about you. It could be about the person who got the job. What were they
Facts.
doing that was different? Now, right, because you putting in this work, you put in an abundance of work, and you feel like you're ready.
Mm,
That doesn't mean that you're more ready than the person who was on the other side, right?
that's fact.
I've been in those moments where it's like, yo, I deserve that shit. And I was heartbroken. But I sat back after fucking throwing shit. No, it's funny. I sat back and I reflected, and it was like, yo, what can I do now that's gonna help me better, help me be better prepared for the next opportunity, right? If we get down on ourselves, it goes back to looking down. You got to keep your head up and keep going. Figure out what exactly stood out for that person who got the job, and hopefully you get that upon feedback and work on those things.
Right.
You got to right. You're still blessed. You're blessed to be where you are. You're blessed to have that work ethic that got you to whatever you're at. You are blessed, right? It might not feel like it because you didn't get or achieve the goal that you set out for, but you're blessed to still have that opportunity. You're blessed to live another day to work on yourself to get to where you want to go. Some people don't have that. So I think that something that helped keep me grounded was just self-reflecting, some awareness, and just thanking God for another day. If I'm being
Mm,
real. And that's why a lot of times I'll be in my moments, but then what I do is like I told you, I'll click on like a positive video, something that might have some word, and I ask God like, yo, send me some kind of message, send me some kind of word that's gonna revive my energy to be who I am and be the best person I can be.
mm.
But that's really what I work on when I'm in those moments.
I love that, bro. I love that because I mean, I remember, man, it's like, it's crazy. This summer, it'll be 5 years that this event happened, but it seems like it was yesterday. I remember so clearly when I went for a job and I felt like I absolutely killed it. You know, the interview, I was prepared, beyond prepared, like so ready for it, and had examples for every question, killed it. And I got super positive feedback, but I ended up not getting the job. And it was for certain things that was beyond, well, it was in my control, but it was things that I was unwilling to change because that's what made me who I am.
Mm,
The things that they wanted me to, it was an availability thing, right? I'll be honest with you. They wanted me to work Sundays, and I was like, I can't come in on Sunday until church is over. That's just what it is. And because of that, I didn't get the role. And it was real easy. Like, and I mean, we spoke about it a bunch. And that was a real tough time because I'm like, I've been working so hard for this. I put myself in position. I even, I moved stores, right? To prepare myself to gain skills that I didn't have before, which was a pay cut because it was less traffic, right? And so it was painful to not get it, especially not getting the feedback that you called out. And at that point, you have questions of like, so what do I have really? You know what I mean? Like what this is what I was going for. Now it's for me, it was kind of like a permanent closing of that door because I'm like, well, me going to church is never going to change. So if that's the blocker to the opportunity, then it's going to be a forever blocker because I'm never going to stop because like I said, that's what made me who I am and what the qualities about Matt Rosa that they love so much, the hard work ethic, the empathy, being able to connect with people, getting the best out of people, challenging people. It's all stuff that I learned there. So I'm
mm-hmm,
gonna give that up because now I'm able to progress my career. That's like switching up on people that support you your entire life. Not the people that hold you back, but the people that have been with you and continue to support you to say, "Nah, I got something better on over here. I don't need you no more
mm-hmm,
because I got this." I
mm-hmm.
couldn't do that. But like you said,
No,
and doing that reflection and having people in my life that was reminding me, like you said, well, you still got this. You still got something. There's other paths. We might not know what those paths are yet, but like, hey, let's dig in. Let's explore that shit.
mm-hmm,
And for me, it was like, all right, I wasn't lost, right? It was just I was changing focus. That's all it was. I had to change my
mm-hmm,
focus.
mm-hmm. That's
My
super.
bad. I didn't mean to
That's
cut you off.
No, no, you're good. I was just gonna say that's respectable and that's commendable. a lot of people, I want to say a lot of people, but I'm sure there is an abundance of people where they switch up or they go against the their morals because of an opportunity, right? Money, promotion, whatever the case may be. And at that point, you're not even yourself really, because you're leaving what's kept you grounded and what's made you who you are. It's almost like if you did get the role and you did sacrifice what made you who you're not even getting Matt Rosa at that point. You're getting a whole nother person because that, like you said, is what made you who you are. And that will ultimately change because that's not no more propelling you to be who you are as an individual person. So I respect it because a lot of people may like, oh yeah, I could sacrifice here and there, but then what's that lead to? It's almost like with people like, you know, let's say I did you dirty, right? Or I pissed you off or I did something that wasn't respectable, and you're like, it obviously hurt you or it affected you or offended you. And you go, you know what, Quan, you're good. We'll figure this out. And I do it again, right? And let's say, like, yo, this guy, he's like, I love this guy. That's not my brother, but it's not okay for you to. I wouldn't even really expect that from you to be like, yo, Quan, I forgive you. Because at that point, how many times are you going to do that? Right? How many times can you say, what's that saying? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Nice try. You trying to get me to quote a J. Cole lyric?
I tried. I
Not
tried.
happening.
Those guys,
Nice
man. You're
try.
supposed to catch that. That was like an alley oop,
I
man.
should be like,
That was the
fool
D
me
Wade
one
to
time,
LeBron alley oop.
fool me 3 times, fuck the peace sign, load the chop and let it rain on you. There you go. Only J. Cole bar I'll ever drop. Shout out Cole.
Nah. Shout out to Cole. But don't fall off. Yeah, man. You know, it's like perspective, right? We talked a lot about perspectives, and you can you can grow wary. You can load yourself up with fear, and they say fear kills a lot of people's dreams. So if
Absolutely.
you let that eat at you, you could potentially just be blocking your blessings. Whereas if you change your perspective, like, yo, this is a great opportunity. This is life changing for the better. Almost like manifesting it, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
speak it into existence. Like, nah, this ain't gonna be for the worst. Obviously, someone who's prepared is like, all right, if this happens, I could do this. That's good. But sometimes you just gotta, like you said, just take the big swing at it and understand, like, yo, this is the opportunity that I've been waiting for.
Absolutely, bro. And just to kind of double back on what you were saying about like the example that you gave, right? Like if someone that you care about does you dirty and they continue to do that, what do you do? And you have two options, right? I mean, you have a bunch of options, but let's just try to make it black and white. Let's give two options, right? You could just be like, I'm cutting this person off, or you can remain and see what you could do, see what positive you can make out of it. Because the way that I look at it is this, it's real simple. And even in that situation I just gave, which is, are you going to let the situation define how you act, or are you going to act because that's who you are? You're going to act
Mm,
based off your character,
that's
and it's up
powerful.
to you. It's up to you. And I don't think people realize the influence they can have just by doing that. Like I called out in the beginning of the show, how I seen your growth and evolution, and how it could be in the past, if something would have happened, it would have changed your whole mindset and your mood. And now you're like, all right, I'm gonna keep doing. I'm not gonna let that get to me like how I used to. Cause guess what? You know what? I'm good. I got what I need. I'm gonna look at the positives of this. I'm gonna keep my perspective. I'm gonna look at this like what blessings are available instead of what problems are here. What opportunities instead of what pitfalls. And it's
Mm,
just a change of perspective. And again, saying, am I gonna let the situation dictate how I act, or I'm gonna act the way that I know how to act? And that's that.
no, it's a fact. I told you, like, and this is for anybody listening, right? There's a great chance this will happen in your life where someone does the opposite of what you expect of them, right?
Yes.
And when you let that dictate how you move and it differs from who you are, you have to sit back and say, is this really what I want? Do I want to change who I am because somebody hurt me or somebody did me in a way that I wouldn't do them? And my response is, to each their own. But when you move with malice, who does it really affect?
Facts.
Right? Does it affect that person that you're moving malice with, or does it affect you more? Because I could be moving with
Facts.
malice, but I'm choosing not to. In fact, I wish nothing but blessings and success for anybody, even those who did me dirty. Because there's nothing I get out of that other than grief and anxiety and all this other shit that I don't want to deal with.
Mm,
So instead, I just wish nothing. I just wish you to move forward. That's it. You stay that way, I'll stay this way, and that's what it is.
I love that, bro. And that's such a powerful call out because I don't think people realize that. Like when you move with bitterness, you choose the path of being petty because you know what, that would be justified, right? Like the world would justify that. Like this person did you that? Yeah, hell yeah. Well, who's gonna be mad at you? Who's gonna blame you for taking the path of pettiness or malice if somebody does you dirt? But to your point, I think Drake, what did Drake say? We beefing, but you on your own. Like that person could be over the whole shit already, and now you
Mhm,
mad and they're happy because you're busy stuck on that, and they're going
mhm,
there enjoying their day. Like, what are you? Why are you allowing that? You're now at that point. You're allowing what they did, their actions, to control you, and people don't realize that. So now you're still giving them the power. You think you getting back at them, but the thing that they did you still making you feel some kind of way. So to your point,
mhm.
who really won at that point? You stuck.
And trust me, I used to be petty wop. No, no. Go ahead, bro. You got it. You got it.
38. This guy crazy. Petty Wop is wild.
Now
You know,
just talk about it and sip my coffee.
hey, listen, respect. Uh, you know what I think is really difficult though for people in these situations, right? Is that we have a way that we look at things in life, right? And it could just because of our own experiences, the way that we were brought up, whatever we believe, right? Whatever our truths are, our lens is, our perspective is, where that pride or the ego or whatever, the unwillingness to let go and move on kind of puts us in a place where either we get stuck or to what you were saying earlier, you try to force things that really don't need to be forced. Like, for example, let's say, because I did take some time after that, not getting that job, right? And, credit to you. And I had another former leader that was like, you know what? Let's regroup. Let's rethink about it. Let's talk it out. What avenues are possible? What are you really passionate about? Are you going for that job? And I had that real conversation. It was a real reflecting or inflection point in my life, which is, was I going for that role because that was what was next? What was the predefined path? Was I doing it because that's what I really wanted to do? And that was a difficult conversation to have because, like I said, that was what I was focusing on. I was making so many moves based off of that was going to be my next career move that I was allowing what I knew at the moment to blind me to all the other opportunities because I was so fixated on this one thing. But then when I had when I took that sledgehammer of an event in my life to hit me over the head and remove those blinders, it was like, damn, there is a lot more. Right? There's a way more. And who knows how much time that I lost because I was so fixated on this one thing that in the end, I really didn't even want. I didn't really even want. Because I know you're saying you're going through something like that right now too. How do you keep yourself kind of open to the possibilities, even though they might bring some discomfort, even though you might have to have that difficult conversation with yourself of like, I spent all this time doing something, but maybe it wasn't right. Maybe it was that right turn when I should have took a left turn. You know what I mean? How do you catch yourself?
I think in the moment, right? It's kind of like how I got to where I am now, to where I want to go. Was like first I weigh out the pros and the cons, right, of whatever the decision, and I say, okay, does this look right? Does everything that I've been working on kind of like the steps we talked about, instead of just saying, "Oh, I want that." Is that what I've been doing going to help me contribute to where I want to go? How do I bring value, right? Because I don't want to go anywhere where I can't bring value. But also, I think in my path, especially over these last, I don't know, 5, 10 years, I'm always trying to grow and continue that development. So that way, if there is different opportunities, or if there are different opportunities, I'm as prepared as I can be. Now, if you're asking more along the lines of like, how do you know, or how do you keep yourself from not being blinded? Because I think that's kind of what you was alluding to with the sledgehammer hitting you over the head, is understanding that this isn't the end all be all. In fact, once I
Mm,
am I wouldn't say so successful, but to a point or a level where I feel like I maximized who I am in that role or in that position, or as a leader or whatever, a father. What can I do different where I can continue my growth, but also bring another level of value to whatever the opportunity may be.
mm,
So just I think having a clear understanding of this isn't the end all be all.
right.
I think
No, I
that's
love
about
that. No, I love that. I love that you called that out, and also like the whole value point too. Because I think if I'm just going back to my own experience, I definitely was at a place where I'm like, I feel like I've reached the limit of not the value that I could provide, especially to others, but of like, what's it doing for me and my own growth? And so that was a weird place. I didn't feel like I was growing anymore. Yeah, I felt like I've reached that where I'm gonna grow in the specific role, and that's why it was time to make a
mm,
change.
hmm
Because it would have been easy just to coast there, right? Like I'm fine. I hit my numbers, I hit my goals. I'm cooling. Like that's light to do that. I mean, you know that. All you gotta do is put in a little effort. You hitting those goals. I love that you talked about that piece of it because it's not just the value that you provide, but also the value that you're being provided. Is it growing you? Is it challenging you? It-
hmm
Because then also, like, if you're excited because you're being challenged, that's gonna rub off on the people around you. They could tell, like, oh, this guy got a fire. You know, what I mean, this is the kind of person I want to be around. This is the kind of person that I want to grow with because you could tell that this person's heading in the right direction. But you know what I think another killer is too, and why some people kind of get tunnel visioned in is they look around at what other people are doing, what their peers are doing. Like, oh, this person's doing that. This person's doing that. Like, I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
let them out. I can't let them outdo me. Like, this person's getting promoted. They're doing this. I could
yeah.
be better than them. And while competition it could be extremely healthy. I know it was when we was all together. Like we fed off of that. Sometimes it's super unhealthy because you're comparing yourself to somebody else instead of comparing yourself to who you were yesterday and
hmm
asking yourself, did I get it better today? And that should be the real barometer of your success and what you're going after. And then if you feel like the answer is no, day over day over day over day, then it's time for that real conversation of like, have I just tapped out at this spot? Does this challenge me anymore
hmm
to rise and be better? And if the answer is no, then maybe it's time to make that move.
And I'll give you some game because I had a conversation with a few people where I was on the other end, right? Where I'm the one delivering, like, you know, I feel like this role isn't for you. I feel
Mm,
like you become stagnant in this role. I feel like you don't want it like you did when you first got here. And that's okay. That's okay. The real challenge is you to have that awareness and have that difficult conversation. Like, you know what, Quan, you're right. What can I do better? And hopefully you have someone that supports you in the space of like, well, let's look at that. What do you want out of life? What do you want for yourself? And what can we do to make sure that you get there? Back to the steps. Back to taking
mhm,
the little steps. Is it reading a book? Is it understanding how to get your CDL? Is it how, going to culinary school? Whatever the case may be for you.
right.
But don't understand that because you're comfortable where you are, this ain't the end all be all. You just feel that way because you're comfortable. That's why it goes back to being, that made you uncomfortable when you was told like, yo, I'm not getting this. And now what does it look like? I don't know what I'm going to do. Back to the drawing board. That's
Mhm,
fine. And I'm glad that you had that where you had that difficult conversation because had you not, who knows what it may ended up being, right?
Clue.
And people shy away from those difficult conversations. But once you embrace that, and hopefully the people that you're having those conversations with, you understand they mean what's best for you.
Yeah.
It's a little easier to take in because you know that it still comes from a good place.
Right. Absolutely. No, I agree. And that's why we always talk about surrounding yourself with the right people, right? And not just, yes, people that are positive, but, people with experience as well, because that's the best teacher. People that have gone through things like that, be like, hey, listen, this is what I did to help overcome that, or people that can identify that and are real enough to give you that feedback. Cause that's not an easy conversation, I would imagine, for you to have. Because you could be opening up a whole can of worms. Because what happens if that person doesn't feel that way? And it's like, well, you say you don't feel that way, but your actions are showing me a different
Right.
something completely different. And that could be difficult if they're not aligned to it.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I remember having an interview and it was like talking about difficult conversations. I'm like, to me, those aren't difficult conversations. Difficult
Hmm.
conversations is having conversations with, for example, a loved one who is sick and you don't know how that's going to end, or they're
Yeah.
calling you because they're going through something that you can't even control. You can be there for support, right? But
Yes.
to me, those are the difficult conversations. Having a conversation with someone because they're not as invested as you need them to be, or because you feel like they've become stagnant, that's not difficult. Because even if they say, "Oh no, I am," back to okay, then show me because you haven't been. And what does that look like?
Love
Let's be
that.
real.
Love that. I love that. Accountability. I said that to somebody the other day. I was like, difficult conversations ain't difficult because you already had the conversations before when you was having your accountability talks. If you was
Hmm.
doing those things, then they should already know what's coming.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a surprise. And they should understand that and they should accept it because they know that they had everything in their power to change it. And they chose that. And that's fine. Like you said, ain't no problem with that. You decided to take this path. Hey, listen, respect. That is what it is. You made your decision. But we talked about what would happen if this kept on going on. And so that is what it is. Let me know
So
if I can help you somewhere else.
exactly, and I relate it to two things, right? One is a individual I had, and he was in that boat, and we had that real conversation, and he decided to move on, do something different. And last I talked to him, he's thriving. He's thriving,
Awesome.
and I'm happy for him because he took the conversation we had to heart. He made some adjustments and went for something that he'd been wanting to go for, and he's doing really good. So I'm happy for him for that. Um, Damn, I lost track of my second one, so I'll try to think of it. But
Nah, I mean that's real shit, bro. Like I don't think at the time it seems harsh, right? At this because it's like you're kicking a bird out the nest, right? What birds do? They kick them out the nest so they can learn how to fly. But if they
mhm,
get comfortable in the nest, they'll never learn how to fly. And so
mhm,
now you just got someone that's dead, really. I mean, they're alive, but they're dead. They can't do what the things that they need to do. They're just showing up, they're punching in and punching out, right? It's like shift ends, shift starts, shift ends. Monday comes, Sunday ends. You ain't getting the most out of what you can get out of that person, and they're not getting the most of what they can get out of their current situation. And so it's like, hey, how can we make this better for everybody? So I love that.
I gotta. Oh, that's the second thing. So
Yeah.
even myself as a leader, right? It's like I can't preach to others or teach others to pursue things that's gonna make them happy, pursue goals, or take
Yes.
a chance and apply for things, or apply for jobs, or apply for promotions, or whatever the case may be. If I don't do that myself, so I always look at that too as like I can't tell someone to do that, and then when the opportunity comes my way, look the other way. No, I'm not
Fact.
leading by example. So that was the
Fact.
other thing. That was the second thing.
Fact. And I know there's some people that listen to this show that I know that what Quan just said, the shoe fits. You know exactly who you are. The shoe fits. Don't encourage other people to do things, then when the opportunity rolls around, you quiet.
Mhm.
Shoe fits.
Um,
Yeah, I know you was
there
about
was
to ask something.
yeah, there was something else I was gonna say, but damn, I can't remember.
All good?
Oh, that's what
So
it was.
oh,
I got a
good.
question for you. I got a question for you.
Yeah, shoot.
Right? It's a little bit different from you, so if you don't have an answer, that's fine. But for myself, right, I have uh, a bunch of hungry individuals. I'd say that they look up to me in a sense of I inspire them to want to grow and be better. But they also are aware because I'm transparent that I might be leaving,
Mhm.
and there's some trepidation and some wariness of like what will happen with them and themselves. What is your take on that? And like, how would you move in that situation? I have an answer, by the way, but I just was curious on yours.
How would I move if I were them or if I were you?
Both.
Okay. So, my first thing, if I were you, this is what I would say to them. What have you learned from me then? If there's trepidation, what have you learned from me? What has my coaching taught you? So you're nervous and you could dive into it. Like, what's the trepidation about that you might have a different leader as to if you all aren't the bearers of this culture. You love this culture, then keep it going. Just because a new leader comes in, of course they're gonna want to implement their own style. Everybody has their own style. But you can also, if they're moving weird or different, you could provide upward coaching. You could be loud about that in a respectful way, of course, but you've been empowered to do that. So why should that be
Mhm.
any different when somebody else comes in?
Mhm.
Right? You say you're a leader, then prove it. Let's see you
Mhm.
lead. And if I'm a person, if I'm one of them, I'm taking that challenge on. Let me show you that it wasn't him that made me. It wasn't him. I got this. I could do it.
Mhm.
Period. Obviously you taught me things, but listen, I can make shit happen. I'm ready to take on the torch.
Love
That's how
that.
I'm looking at it.
Love that. So I'll share what I've been doing. So like, the young man who didn't necessarily know he wanted to be a leader and stuff, for example, right?
Hmm.
Because I've been coaching him and showing him a lot of the ways of what's helped me become successful, he's been really embracing it and enjoying it. But the same thing is like, yo, I'm telling you now because I want to be transparent, right? So I'm not that guy that's gonna like, oh, I'm out like the day of, right? You use me. You ask me those questions that you need to know, that you feel ready for when that opportunity comes, or if a new leader comes in, you can do what you do. And you already know I'm big on empowering. So even coaching me, the upward coaching. I do it myself to show them like you can talk, you have a voice, use it. And on the opposite end, just like you said, right? Just telling personal stories or past experiences of like I was in the same situation, but you can help with that culture and implementing the things that you've learned to keep the progression going, right?
Yes,
Don't let one person dictate who you are.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And I mean, let's just tie it into what we was talking about earlier. Right now, this is their off season. Prepare, right? Like
Mhm.
this guy's gonna be gone, and they should want that for you. They should want that for you. They should want you to. This is what you want. Our leader wants this. Let's let him go. Let's let him be successful, and that's that. But this is their off season. What are you doing now to prepare yourself for when the season does come and you're out of there? It's like you said, ask me the questions now. Learn everything you can now. So that you know what's to be, at least for me, the most impressive whenever I join a new team is like, damn, these people got their shit together. Cause then if you could prove to that person that's coming in, like, this is a well-oiled machine, how much you think they're gonna want to fuck with that? They're just gonna want to try to slide in as efficiently as they can
Mhm.
and support similar to where like what worked for this team. That leader, if they was smart, you get this new job and I'm that new leader, I'm reaching out to you.
Mhm.
What did you do? Why does your team speak so highly of you? How are they so efficient? What was going on?
Yeah.
Whereas if they're fucking everything up, then that's gonna really want the person to come in and make drastic changes because they're like,
Mhm.
everything is fucked up.
And, they know that they can still call me, text me, whatever, for support,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah.
it's funny you brought that up because I was actually just talking to someone from my old store, and he just told me he was talking highly about me and how he knew I would have killed the role that I had gone for and I didn't get, had I gotten that role. And I told him, like, it's all good. Because at the end of the day, it just wasn't my time, or it wasn't the role for me in that moment. And
Mhm.
I was good with that. Unfortunately, I didn't because, situation had
Yeah.
happened. But
Mhm.
it was just another point where I was telling him, like, yo, it's all right because you have another day. You have more
Right,
opportunities in front of you.
right. And you know what that's gonna do passively is that when that person reaches their season of difficulty, they be like, yo, I know somebody who went through something like this, and I remember how they handled that.
Hmm.
Right. And now it's on them if they want to if they handle it in a similar way or if they whatever how they choose to move, how they choose to move. But they have an example that they could look at and be like, you know what, I remember somebody who I felt really, really deserved it and didn't get it. But I remember how they moved after that. I remember that they remained positive. I remember that they kept their head up. They was telling other people that, it's all good. Like it's all good. Even when I was upset, they was telling me it was all good. They remained positive, and then when their opportunity came that was right for them, they got that shit light because they continue to prepare. So I love that. So we could wrap on this. Here's my challenge to those listening, right? What kind of season do you think you're in right now? Are you in a season of change? Are you in a season where you're making a big decision or have to? Are you in a season of building? Are you in a season of rebuilding? Are you in a season of maybe working on yourself and healing? What season are you in? And then when you identify what season are you in, my question to you after that would be, what are you doing to make sure that you're preparing yourself for the next season? What skills are you building? What relationships are you building or mending? What challenges are you making to yourself? Or what are you doing to challenge yourself? What are you doing not to only make yourself better, but the people around you better? Those are all questions. And if you can answer those by the time the next season arrives, you're gonna be holding the Lombardi, brother. You're gonna be ready for it. Like they're gonna be like the 2007 Patriots, but they're actually gonna win it. 19-0 instead of 18-1.
To those shots. And when you do
You
that,
got to.
when you identify that, like Matt said, with intention, I would recommend with intention,
Yes,
do things with intention, knowing what will happen, uh, or what the outcome is going to be with the steps you take.
absolutely. Listen, right now is the most important season in your life. Championships, they're built in the off season, and it could be a scary time. It could be a real scary time, a time of uncertainty. Don't panic in the rebuild. Don't be scared of the challenge. Don't let
Embrace it.
fear, yeah, don't let fear stop you from taking that step of faith, even when you don't understand. You know it's right, then just do what's right. Championship season's loading. You heard it here first. I ain't got nothing
Wow.
else. Let's go. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. And as always, think critically, speak infamously. It's love.
Love.